Well, hello everyone. We're hoping that we're going to be able to show you some different opportunities in a different approach by being on site, actually at a property, going through a physical work order to show you what we see when we're at a property that we're hoping that you're seeing the same thing, and that this will be a learning curve for both of us in the office and you in the field, that perhaps by sharing more knowledge and actually being in the field doing the work, that we're going to be able to find better opportunities for all of us as we are updating work orders to Safeguard. I have Jonathan Wicks here from the J.D. Wicks Company, and he was kind enough to allow us to come down and go through some properties with him.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Wicks. We're here in Naperville, Illinois. We're at a property that has asked us to install a lockbox. We are looking, just arrived here at the property, and there's a couple things that I would kind of give you as an idea of my mindset going into this property. The first thing we would want to look at is, what are we here to do? And the bank has asked us to install a lockbox, which tells me that we believe that the locks will already be changed, and we'll proceed with that as we go. One of the other things that we want to look at as well is, has anybody been to this property before with the Berghorst company? And that would be on Field Navigator. It's going to say A, B, C, or D according, and this is an A property, meaning that Berghorst has never been at this property, which gives us a lot of opportunity to then maximize on this work order, even maybe more so than other ones that we would have. That would be the alternative. If it was the case that it was a B, C, or D, and my company had not been here, we would also approach that carefully as well, making sure that we are marking everything that would be accordance to the way that Berghorst did it the first time. And what we're going to do now is kind of walk through a little bit of the property. And this, my work order. Another thing that I would point out just before we do that is that this is a conventional loan, and we would know according to the allowables, and going through and seeing if there's anything specific that it says about realtors. One of the first things when we come up upon the property is to check and see, is this house for sale? Is there going to be any access issues that we have questions about? Here, the property is not for sale, so we're good to go ahead and proceed towards actually completing the work order. There's some glass in the front driveway here. Glass is always a hazard no matter what, but what we're going to try to do is, you're not looking at anywhere near a cubic yard or close to a cubic yard here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to ask them if we can remove all the glass in the front driveway for a set amount. And the wording that I'm going to use is, remove glass on front driveway to prevent vehicular damage. And that way they're looking at the benefit of them paying me to do this outweighs the possible risk that they could have that somebody's car could get damaged or tires could get popped because of this. And phrasing it that way has a chance for us to get this approved as a separate line item, simply to eradicate this this possible damage that could occur. And so I would say to the client, I would probably invoice $50 to go through all the cracks, and I would put in detail the linear feet of cracks that we have that have glass in them, and give them a $50 price to remove simply the glass in the driveway. And I guess adding on to I would say to prevent vehicle damage or safety hazard to the neighborhood. That'd be a great way to put it. That way they can pull from whatever option they want to use on it, but either way they should approve us to remove this glass. Okay. Noting up on the roof what we saw, there is a bit of clogged gutters. We've got about 5 linear feet of clogged gutters, and that's preventing this downspout from being operational. So we would go ahead and use the allowable there, and I'll call from site, get a verification of that. But they should be able to use the allowable of the per linear foot to clean out those gutters. Everything else on the roof looked pretty good. There were some satellite dishes that were up there. With satellite dishes, if there's anything about them that appears that they could be falling down, or if there's anything about them that appears like they could present a hazard from falling, or any reason that they don't look in good repair, I would want to remove these. These were tarred down pretty hard, and also the bolts were very much intact. And so I'm going to leave those satellite dishes and say that they could be an asset to the property. 90% of the time, satellite dishes are not an asset, and they should be removed, and they should be removed as debris because they are a potential wind hazard to have a safety issue if they fall over and hurt someone. So in this case, no, but most of the time, yes. We're inside of the property now. We've done our exterior bids and now interior. One of the things, this is kind of interior and exterior, but it is a securing issue. We have an open hole here. Obviously animal entry is the biggest concern. There's also the concern of water entry. Both of those things will be eradicated when we simply say we're going to call from site and 18 inches by 30 inches, we're going to cover this hole. It's crucial to say that we're going to cover the hole versus board the opening, because boarding the opening would mean that we were going to use the FHA boarding with the carriage bolts and the 2x4s. This case is not necessary, so we say the wording cover the hole, and that way they know exactly what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and just give a basic generic bid of about $70 to the client is what I would bid to cover that hole. At the front room, looking for more call from site items. This is going to be a call from site item that we're going to go ahead and remove the feces here. This whole box, we're going to remove all of it. And then also behind here, there's also feces remaining over here. I'm going to go ahead and call from site and say that we need to use chemicals to clean this off to prevent any type of a safety hazard, not so much safety hazard you would say, but both infestation from animals and what would be the other wording that you would want to use for the feces?
I would state that you probably would need to wear protective clothing.
Right.
And that it needs to be removed to prevent additional infestation risk.
That's what I would say,
Because there's
yeah,
already
additional,
evidence
right.
of rodents in the house.
Yeah.
And I would just a couple of things I would say. We're going to remove the box, but also behind the box. If you want to show behind the box,
Yeah, this is really lovely, everyone, and it
This-
smells really nice.
this should be actually cleaned off using chemicals, and we're going to note that on our call from site and expect to get that approved. Not only are we going to remove this is just as much of feces on the floor as anything else. So we're going to expect to get that in addition to the box being
It's a lovely box.
just for this particular portion, I'm going to say we're going to remove the box for $60 to the client. Secondly, I'm going to say that we're going to need to clean this floor that has feces on it for another $60. Both of these things will need to have gloves and masks to be able to complete the work, and also to be able to prevent any type of disease. And I would mention the word disease too, because that's going to just give them that heightened awareness that this needs to be taken care of. And so $60, $120 total to the client will take care of it. Looking for additional call from site item, we see that we have syrup here. We also have some sugar, any type of food accessory, whether opened or unopened as far as a box goes, it is always an infestation risk. And we're going to say that we're going to use the infestation allowable. We're going to remove it per cubic yard. We're going to let them know we're probably looking at between 1 and 2 cubic yards. They won't specify whether, they will just go ahead and give us the approval for the open. So you've got moldy debris here inside of the refrigerator. We're just going to take that away according with our allowable. Glass is also a safety issue, and so the glass will need to be removed. We're going to call from site. I would separate the glass and the infestation bids. Those would be two different things. The glass, you would go ahead and give just a set rate similar to what we did on the exterior.
Okay, so Jonathan is also pointing out that we've got these plastic cups that some of them have a little residue in them, but we're going to fill up a couple big garbage bags with these. So what do you think, a cube and a half,
We'll
2
probably
cubes?
try to get to 2 cubic yards of infestation allowables. We'll figure it out as we go how much we end up with, but 1 to 2 is what we're going to end up with. Taking a close-up of this ant that's on there, anytime you can actually visually prove the infestation is going to help even more so. So we're then going to place a bid to place ant traps throughout the home, and I'm going to say $50, and I will replace ant traps throughout the house to eliminate the ant infestation that we are seeing. We also have, it looks like urine and sugar. Either way, I'm calling this urine, and I'm going to submit a bid similar to the one I did over here. $60, same thing, $60 to remove the urine on the floor and prevent a further both safety and health risk. So
Here's
trying to get a
Jonathan
picture.
taking pictures
there
of
you
the
go.
infestation. So there's some bugs crawling around here on the floor. There's also some flies and ants and
Anytime you can prove with photos your infestation, it's hard to do, but if you can do it, you have a much better chance of getting it. I just got a sweet close-up of that spider. It's definitely going to help towards the process of getting things approved. We also have now compiled our list of the items that we're going to call from site on whenever I'm walking through a property, I like to use the back of the work order to write down all of my bids as well as all of my call from site items. And we should be writing down everything, but I like to differentiate the ones that I'm going to call from site on by putting a CFS, and I circle that to make sure that I know when I'm making the call, I'm calling in and explaining all these things. We have a whole list of things that we're calling in from site, equaling over $500 worth of things that we feel like should be done right now. And that is $500 to the client. We're going to explain to them that vandals have come into the property. They have disassembled our previous securing, so we're going to need to secure the property again with a new knob lock, and then we're going to then install the lockbox like they requested, and all the other call from site items that we've been mentioning to you the last few minutes. We're going to go ahead and make the calls and expect that we should be doing some work here shortly.
Okay, so Jonathan, originally the work order was a conventional work
Yes.
order, and it was to do an interior inspection and place a lockbox.
Correct, right.
Which would have netted us about
Yeah, we were looking at about $15. $12
$12 to $15. Yep, exactly.
We're gonna
Okay,
look-
so now we've increased the work order level up to.
We're looking at a possible about 250 or so to a contractor, over $500 to the client, and that is our expectation. That is what we are going to tell the client. We expect to do that work because all these things are not just a regular bid item. These are urgent issues that should be taken care of immediately, and we need to present them that way. That's why we're circling and saying call from site, because we're looking at these things as urgent issues needing to be taken care of right now, and Safeguard does as well. And that when we work with their allowables and their system, they want us to call from site and do these things right on the spot. $15 versus $500 is what we're looking at.
Great.
How are you? Not too bad. We're doing a work order here with Kelly and Kathy, and we are looking to do some call from site items. So I've got a work order number. All right, thanks, Christy. All right, bye.
Okay, now we'll wait for Christy to go ahead and give the client a call and then give us a call back. We'll
At
see
this time, what
happens.
I would do during this process, I would go ahead and get all of my condition photos throughout the whole house. I've already gone through the whole property to get my bid photos, and I separate the two. Your condition photos should be things that it would be, getting all four walls, all the ceiling, all the floor. When I'm going through the first time, I'm getting specific close-ups of the bid items. The second time, while I'm waiting, it's a perfect chance to go ahead and get your other just condition photos of the interior of the house. That way you're maximizing your time.